Hi, everyone. Biohacking Blondes here. This is Molly, and Alex is with me today. We are super excited. We are coming off the heels of an incredible conference last weekend. We went to the A4M Conference in West Palm Beach. And A4M stands for the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. So that's four A's, and then they call it A4M. And it took me a while to figure out that that's what it
I
stood
didn't know that.
I
Great.
was like, oh, that's what it means. But in any case, this is like a really incredible group that was founded in 1992 by Dr. Ronald Klatz and Dr. Robert Goldman. And it's a great company because it's rooted in this forward-focused mission to redefine modern medicine. And it's the global leader for continuing medical education in longevity medicine, metabolic resilience, and whole person care. So a lot of this is sort of like a B2B type conference, right? So it's like physicians are attending, and they're getting their medical credits. And for example, I received credits for attending the talks and attending the show because it goes towards my continuing education for my board certification and for my a practitioner certification. So it's a great conference. It brings a ton of amazing doctors, practitioners, health coaches, you name it. People go, and we meet up with a ton of companies. There are all these exhibitors, right? So there are supplement companies, there are compounding pharmaceutical or pharmacies rather. There are diagnostic companies like labs and you name it. And it's really amazing. It's a great place to network, to learn. There were hundreds of talks, I feel like, and we were there for 3 days, and I had a great time. And the coolest part about it is like, in part of their mission at A4M, it says they want to push beyond the traditional standards of healthcare, and disseminate the latest and most innovative clinical strategies in modern medicine. They've spent the last 3 decades equipping thousands of clinicians from across the globe to combat the growing burden of age-related disease and improving the human health span. So, and they say they're just getting started. So the key here is longevity. And so we learned a ton, and we had a great time. So Alex, tell me a little bit about what you thought of the conference, and then I can dive into.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I thought the conference was fantastic. I could only be there for one day, and I had a couple of things that I focused on, what I wanted to accomplish with being there. So there was two things that I had on my schedule, kind of to tick off. And the first one was to really get close to the founder of A4M, which is Robert Goldman, one of the founders, and Dr. Klatz. And I did actually, as soon as I got in there, I managed to approach him. I got his number, and that was for me because I'm involved with the stem cell company in Thailand. And we want Dr. Goldman on our board, on our advisory board. So that was kind of a big thing for me. So I managed to get him involved, and hopefully we're working on getting him on the advisory board. We've had our first call, so that was one thing, and that was super cool. And the other thing that I need to tick off was to speak to my scientist. So my scientist that makes Scandi Labs, my liposomal product, he was there because he is the best in the space, and he's a chemist, PhD in chemistry and science, and he's an amazing formulator and a very, very smart man. So I was at his talk, of course, and then I connected with him afterwards, and we are looking at doing a joint thing with. I actually don't even want to reveal what we're trying to do, but it's a big thing. It's a big deal. So I managed to do, which was wonderful. And then I connected with another fantastic man. So I was really there more to connect with people than to listen to the talks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think different from you, Molly, you were more there to listen to the talks and to learn and to get credit, correct?
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, I love obviously talking to the people too, but for me, I really like to I love the idea of continuing education. For me, that's
Oh,
like if I could be in school for the rest of my life, I would if I didn't have to have a job.
right. Yeah, right. Oh, I agree. And Molly, I would do the same. Like I love these talks. It's just that I had limited time. So I had to focus on what I needed to focus on,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Which
oh yeah.
Which for me is again like a little bit different than for you, where I'm always looking at the latest, the greatest biohacking stacks. And it wasn't necessarily so many biohacking vendors there. There was one guy that had that hyper dissolved oxygen ozone bath, but the one that I'm providing is better and much better priced. So, I think it was that. And then also I found a new manufacturer for another. I'm going to do a small batch of different little products that kind of touches on the fitness space, because I want to provide my son and all his friends under the Scandi Labs umbrella some of they're really into like lifting weights, and they're
Oh,
already taking these creatine and these whey protein grass fed powders. And you know what? I'm going to be supplying this teenage market because they already like me. So I'm going to do a little small stash of that, and I'm met a fantastic manufacturer for that. So that was really good as well. Anyways, over to you, Molly.
cool. Yeah, there were a lot of great things going on. I mean, I think like as far as presentations were concerned, some of the favorite things that I learned, and I know you learned a bunch about all the different products and stuff, but when I was in the presentations, the first day, which was a Friday, was kind of like a metabolic focused day, which was really cool because at the end we got to meet Casey Means, who's like this big, famous writer and author, and she just wrote a new book called Good Energy that is all about how metabolism works in your body and how it can cause a disease and all that stuff. And that was sort of the theme of the day on Friday was metabolism. And that was a fun day actually because I sat down and Elizabeth Tringali sat right down next to me. So
Yes.
so we so I got to bond with her, and for people who don't know, she's an incredible practitioner here in Florida, but she's in Palm Beach Gardens and in West Palm, I believe. And she's fabulous. So she and I got to sit for like the whole, I don't know, 5 hours that we were there listening to talks and chatting and sharing protocols and whatnot. So that was great. My favorite talk was actually uh Dr. Carrie Jones. She got up and she had this incredible talk about perimenopause, menopause, and the transition of women, changing hormonally, which is one of my, kind of passions. And she kind of she's very funny. She could literally be a stand-up comedian, except the topic is always hormones. So but I don't even think she necessarily intends to be funny, but it's just that she's just naturally that way. But she's great. And she gave a great talk about actually the sort of dangers of perimenopause and how you are women who when your estrogen and your testosterone and your progesterone are all lowered in that period, you are more likely and more susceptible to what she calls the four horsemen. So that's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, etc. So
Mhm.
this is just something to keep in mind for women in their 40s who are transitioning into menopause. This is like a very delicate transition. It's a lot like, it's like she calls it reverse puberty, right? Because you're going the other way.
Right, clever.
Yeah, but that is effectively what it is. And you are losing all of these fabulous hormones that you've had your whole life. It changes your personality, it changes the way you deal with things. And it makes you more susceptible to other diseases if you're not really on top of it. So I felt that that was like a really strong message that I hadn't heard before. Like, you hear a lot of debate, like, should we go on hormones? Shouldn't we go on hormones? And I think the answer
Yes.
to that is like it depends on the person 100%. So I'm not 100% for hormone replacement therapy for everyone, but I do believe that there are people who benefit greatly from it. Um, so it was a really good talk though. And I think that it was a kind of talk that I actually feel every woman should like be required to, to listen to. So
Mhm.
I recorded it. So if anyone is interested, I have a recording of it. And if they want to hear, kind of like a deep dive that's actually pretty funny about hormones, that'd be great. One of the funniest things that she said is that, like some in perimenopause, as you're approaching menopause, women actually get these phantom smells, which I had never heard before. I've not experienced that. but the woman next to me on the other side of, not Elizabeth, but the other side of me, she owns a med spa in Missouri, and she was like, "Oh my god, I get these phantom smells all the time. Like I think something's burning in the house." And
Wow.
and it's not, it's your brain. And I talked to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was like, "Yeah, it's your brain actually playing tricks on your senses when you don't have enough either estrogen, progesterone." So it's crazy.
Really?
Like, these weird, it's
That's
scary kind of.
Yeah, that's super scary. And can I just inflict on that? So I had a message. It was really interesting. I had a message from my Swiss friend, right? So she's based in Switzerland, in Geneva. She was a friend from London. And she wrote to me because I had on my Instagram, I said to people, ask me any questions. And she said, "How do I deal with perimenopause? I feel awful. I've gained all this weight, and doctors here won't do anything unless you have lost your period."
Wow.
So isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So in Switzerland, there was like nothing, like you just kind of got to toughen it out. And I think Carrie's message and your message is,
No.
that's not the way to go.
No, and especially not because there's so much suffering that happens in that. I mean, you literally could go. I mean, what typically happens is women who transition are transitioning into menopause, and for example, maybe they've had hormonal issues for, other parts of their lives. Maybe they've had PCOS, maybe they have endometriosis, maybe they have adenomyosis, maybe they have had just hormone imbalances throughout their life. Well, guess what? Perimenopause is going to be, I'm sorry to say, it's going to be nasty for you if that's what has been happening for the previous part of your life. So you got
Mhm.
to be on top of that. So getting on, specifically progesterone is going to make you feel a whole lot better. And what happens is when you're not, when you having these low hormones, you basically, you think you're depressed, basically. So you think you've got you're in a depression, you have an anxiety disorder. So guess what you do? You go to a psychiatrist, and you get like an SSRI because you think you're depressed, right? So and then all of a sudden you start gaining weight. So then they put you on diabetes medication.
Oh,
Um,
mess.
and then, because now you're insulin resistant, right? Because guess what happens in this transition? You become insulin resistant, and you increase your chances for diabetes and visceral fat, which visceral fat is the fat that's around your waist, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of times you see these sort of older women who have this kind of apple shape, right? Where like their legs are kind of thin and their arms are thin, but they have like a lot going on in their waist. And that is all like perimenopausal, like lack of hormones, like insulin resistance, right? And we
Yeah.
also know that that visceral fat is the most damaging because it's
Right.
so close to the organs.
Yes.
It increases your chance for heart disease, and this is where the four horsemen come in, right? Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's when your estradiol declines, you're in this like pro-inflammatory state.
Mm.
And that's what causes all of this pain and suffering that these women are going through. And it's just so sad because they go down this route of like patching it with all these like pharmaceutical band-aids. Like, okay, we're going to
Right.
get SSRI, and we're going to get on metformin for our insulin resistance, and we're going to get on our, now our blood pressure is too high. So now we're getting on blood pressure medication. Now we need to be on a statin because our cholesterol is too high. So
And
like boom, boom,
spiral.
boom, boom, you're on all of these things when, you know, fixing the hormonal cascade first would have been the first thing to do.
Right. Yes.
Um,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
that's on, and by the way, that's also on top of, and I don't want to like say like, this is also on top of, you have to be on top of your lifestyle shit, right? Like, sorry to cuss, but like, you have to be like working
yeah.
out regularly, 150 minutes a week. And this is Dr. Rhonda Patrick gave a whole talk about this. You got to get your heart rate up. You got to be either lifting weights or doing yoga, some kind of strength resistance training, especially women as you get older. And you got to have your diet in check. So like, eating regular meals, eating high quality meats, vegetables, food like that. All of that has to be in place first, and then
Mhm.
you can go on the hormones, and then you'll feel good. But- and
Right. Exactly.
and obviously stress management, which is the big one that
Yes.
that all
Stress
of us,
and sleep.
right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then
So
throw in some biohacking, and that will be
yes,
immensely helpful too, right?
yes.
Um, But I have her now. So Elizabeth Tringali is my functional medicine doctor. She's amazing for everyone that is listening. Amazing, amazing. Very long wait to get in with her. Um, I was lucky. I put a one of our biggest red beds in her office, and I'm kind of her biohacker. So, I managed to get myself in a little quicker. But she's very fantastic, and she's going to help my friend in Switzerland now
Oh,
to
good.
get the blood work. We're going to get the blood work, and then she's going to read it and she will prescribe, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. You need it. And so if you're in your 40s and all of a sudden you feel depressed and there isn't really a reason for it, like like
Yeah.
really, start think more about this. This is a physiological problem that is now causing a mental health problem. And actually there was another really good talk that well, not doctor, she's a nutritionist. Her last name is Krez, but I can't remember what her first name is. Anyway, she did this incredible talk on the like mood and metabolic health. So how tests to identify root cause symptoms of depression, anxiety, insomnia, um, and bipolar disorder too. And she has she literally just looks at a nutrient testing. So there's this test called the Nutraval that Genova Diagnostics does, which by the way, I can run for people too if people are interested.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and it looks at all of your nutritional deficiencies, right? So it's pretty, and a blood test can help with that too. Like a basic blood test can give, if you talk to someone who works in nutrition like myself, or a nutritionist, or maybe even an RD, they will tell you by just looking at your blood test, like what things you may or may not be deficient in. Like,
Mm.
for example, if your homocysteine is high, you might need B vitamins. And homocysteine is a huge marker for heart disease, right? So she kind of went through like all of these different biomarkers, and how she patched all these cases working for people, and patched up all of their nutrient deficiencies. Like this person was wildly deficient in zinc, right? Which is like a pretty basic vitamin, but let's say you're just wildly deficient in it. She makes sure that they're eating oysters and they're supplementing and they do all this. All of a sudden, the person no longer has a mood disorder.
Yeah.
So this is when I worked for Dr. Achina Stein. I worked for her for 3 years. She's a functional psychiatrist. That was the first thing we did with every single patient who came in. We made sure that they were on some sort of multivitamin that made sure that we and this was the highest quality multivitamin. This isn't like the multivitamin you get at Target, right? Like
Right, right.
a lot of people in the biz, like, don't really like multivitamins because they don't feel they're targeted enough. However, when you are in a case with just a regular person from off the street who's having a mood disorder, if you can give them a multivitamin, you wouldn't believe how much that can actually fix. That can get them out of a state of suicidal state and into a state of, feeling like neutral, right?
Right,
So
right.
you're trying to get them out of the dark, right? I mean, like taking a multivitamin wouldn't necessarily make you the happiest person on earth, but it's going to pull you out of it could potentially pull you out of something if that's what's going on. Because a lot of people who are depressed, they don't eat enough. They're not getting enough nutrients, all of these things. So anyway, that was a really cool talk. I saved her slides because she went through every single marker and how it relates to, this and that. And she went on Rupa Health, which Rupa was a huge sponsor. And for those who don't know, Rupa Health is this big diagnostics conglomerate company that they pull all the different labs into one space. And you go on and you can order any lab you want as long as you're a practitioner. And so if anyone who wants a lab, like I can order just about anything for you. If you want the Nutraval from Genova, that gives you all the Nutrigen, all of the nutraceuticals, that kind of thing, looking at all your nutrition, I can do that. But also, you can pull oxidative stress, stuff, metabolic issues, blood work, GI map, stool tests, hormonal arrays, all of that. And Rupa's great. And Rupa also does some pretty incredible, like they actually have a really incredible like encyclopedia on their page. And if you just like Google anything and then put Rupa Health after it, so if you're like I want to improve my like perimenopause and Rupa Health, like they actually have the most up-to-date articles on like holistic treatments and functional medicine treatments for whatever, disease pathway or whatnot that you're looking at. So they have a really cool website even for just the regular person. So I definitely encourage people to go check that out, because if you're Dr. Google isn't always the best
No,
source.
no, no, exactly. So
Yeah.
Molly, let's say we have a listener here. They're thinking, "Oh my goodness, I got to run my hormone profile. My doctor won't do it properly." Can they just contact you, and you can just run that for them if they wanted to?
100%. Yep.
That's
I mean,
great.
typically I like to look at a little bit more than just hormones, because hormones tend to be like a downstream issue in most people. So there is some sort of like upstream issue. So if you think about like the metaphor, right? Like let's say people are dumping trash upstream in a river, and like what conventional medicine is doing is they're picking up the trash at the end, right? And they're not stopping the flow of the trash.
Right,
Like you need to go
right,
upstream and get rid of those people who are dumping the trash to stop the whole
right,
process, right?
right.
So
Find the why. Find the initial root
yeah,
cause. Stop, right?
exactly. So
Right.
sometimes with hormonal disorders, there can be, for example, a nutritional problem. There can be an infection, or there can be like an endometrial pattern, like that's where tissue grows
Mm,
in your uterus. Or PCOS, where that can sometimes be insulin caused, or sometimes that can be stress caused by stress, and adrenals. So it's like, fixing kind of the stress factor first, fixing the diet, making sure there's proper exercise, all these things that we talk about, right? The kind of those are like the biohacks really at the end of the day.
right. Right. They are the biohacks. And so, Molly, so for the people that are listening, they are basically in this category that, they feel awful. They've gained all this weight, but their doctors say they're fine. They've run all their markers for their hormones and they're within the range. Isn't this like a really common scenario?
Yes, this is literally every person I talk to. They're like, "Oh, I went to my doctor, they ran my hormones. They say I'm fine, but I feel like shit." Like,
Oh,
and you're like,
so
"Okay." Like,
that's where you come in and
right.
say, well, I'm going to run different, bigger profiles, or like, well, how would you attack that?
Yeah, so we just look at different ranges as FDNs. So I get a hormone profile and I'm looking and I'm seeing, okay, like yes, this marker's in range, but like for example, like I just had a client who, for example, her estrogen and progesterone were not uh in the correct ratio with each other. However, they were both in range, right, for where they should be, but they weren't in the right ratio to one another. So when you have that problem, then you still are experiencing symptoms of like estrogen dominance, even though your estrogen technically is within range. So you have to look at so many different factors. And so someone like that would benefit from a little bit of progesterone, like for example, like Quicksilver's nano formulated progesterone, one squirt of that a day, and that person's feeling a lot better. So
Right. They're a different
it's
person. I mean, we
right.
saw it with our friend.
Yeah. And there's so many different kinds of hormones. There's pellets, there's drugs, there's creams, there's this, there's that. Like what FDNs do anyway is like I feel like we have like a very simplified form of it. Like I either have a drop that I give you that's like a supplement, you literally get it off my full script, or
Mhm.
I do a cream that's just one squirt in your hand, and you just put it like on your legs or on your wrists or wherever, then you wash your hands afterward and it's gone, so it won't transfer to other people, your kids, your friends, your family, whatever.
Right.
So that's, so it's a pretty simple, like at the end of the day, it's a very simple answer to what appears to be like a very complicated problem that
Right.
that
Right. It seems to be like a hidden, like secret almost. Like it's like not out there. Like people are not supposed to know about it. Right.
right. And that's, I think Carrie was talking about that in her talk quite a bit too, where it's like, why aren't we taught this stuff?
Right.
Women just kind of all of a sudden you hit this, and this was my experience. Like it came early for me, where I started to have hormonal issues in my late 30s, and it like made me kind of crazy, not gonna lie. Like I needed some
Right.
help, and also like post COVID, and if you got COVID, and all of those things are like, if you already have a problem, like leading into that, and then you get COVID, it's going to exacerbate the problem, right? So this I think happened to quite a number of people,
Mhm.
in the last few years, right? So I think that it's just it's really important that that people are educated about this. And now I feel like I know so much, but then I forget, like, there's so many people, like my story, like I just didn't know what the heck was happening to me.
Yes.
I knew that like my mother had hormonal problems and issues and this and that, but then I like never, I always thought I was invincible. I was like, I'm never gonna get like
Right.
perimenopause. Like what?
Right.
I eat right, I
Good.
exercise, I take care of myself, I'm da da da. But then stress plays a big role in that too. So you got to have good stress management, which I did not have. So, um,
Exactly. Right.
but I think that like just education for women. And that's why I
Oh,
think part of the
huge.
reason why you and I want to do this podcast too is just to try to educate our friends and family and people we know, right? That's part of our like life mission to,
Oh, if we can help one person only, we are in success. I mean, if
yeah,
one person listens to this and goes and, either contacts you or, someone else that is in the functional medicine space or, FDN, then I mean, we have won, right? We have achieved our goal.
no doubt. Yeah. And so
So,
I think that that's so important. And that's why we do this. That's why we're here
mhm,
talking to you
yeah,
guys about
yeah.
all the things because that we learn, and and if anyone has any questions, like I'm happy to just hop on a call and chat with people, because I just
Yes.
feel that there's so much that women need to learn about the various processes of hormones that we go through in life, and on top of that, all the metabolic stuff we learned this past weekend too, just in general, like if you have a
100%.
diabetes state, if you're starting to gain weight around your midsection, like that can have pretty, like, besides the fact that it doesn't look good, which is what we all focus on, right? Like, oh, my stomach is bigger, it doesn't look good. Like,
Correct.
actually, it's increasing your risk
Heart
for
disease,
heart disease.
cancer. Yeah,
Yes, all of these things.
yeah, exactly.
And being overweight is actually a little, like when I was at that conference and we were talking about metabolic health, I was like, wow, being overweight is scary actually. Like, and
Yeah.
I don't mean to, make it more of a focus than people, you know, I don't want to make it like an aesthetic thing. I
Right.
really want to
Right.
make it, or like if you want to focus on weight loss, it shouldn't necessarily be for the aesthetics.
Correct.
Aesthetics should be a byproduct of why
Yes.
you
Correct.
yeah, you should be working on it so that you do not get cancer, you do not get
Correct. And
diabetes.
and Molly, it's like me and like all the biohacking stuff that I represent and do. And for me, it's like almost like frustrating when people are like, "Oh, will it give me nicer skin?" Like the red light, for example.
Yeah,
And yes, it will, but that's not my focus, because if you heal your inside and if you feel great, your skin is going to look great. Or, like, it's kind of a byproduct, is what I would like to say, from the inside out
yeah,
is my whole. And again, I've changed since I was 20, right? 20, it was all about the outside. Like, I didn't really care about my inside. It was all about the outside.
sure.
So I'm the opposite now, where it's like the inside, that's what we want to try. You and I, we're all about prevention, right? How can we help people not get sick, right? We want to stay healthy for as long as we can and feeling great for as long as we can.
Absolutely. And the aesthetic part of it like gets people in the door. So I do
Yeah.
think that that's good, at least, like at least they're like, okay, I'm aware of this problem, and
Yeah.
but like they don't know really how big of a problem it is.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Until you've experienced it yourself, you've been sick yourself, or you have a family member who is sick and you've been through
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like I think a lot of people don't necessarily have those experiences, so they don't really
Correct.
know. But
Yeah.
I think,
I mean,
the aesthetics can get them in the door, and then it's a matter of, okay, now we're going to educate you about why we're really doing this. And
right.
if
Exactly.
you've ever seen someone suffering from cancer or diabetes, or who lost a limb from diabetes, there are people who don't realize, they're like, oh, I'm pre-diabetic, haha, like whatever.
Mhm.
Like they don't really understand what that means. Like
Correct.
you could you could lose a limb. Like there are amputations that happen when your blood sugar is too high. You lose all your hair. You get very sick. Like this isn't. I feel like diabetes has kind of turned into this very like blase, like, oh,
Yeah.
everybody has diabetes. Like like it's just sort of weird. It's like, don't you guys know what happens? Like, I don't know, like there's a whole
Yeah.
education piece that's missing in the United States, I think, in terms.
Oh, 100%. It's so missing. I mean, for me, I mean, I had both my parents died of cancer, so that's like really close to my heart. And I saw that whole process and it's frightening. It's like the worst you can imagine, right? So it's like, what can we do not to get there? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing big time, right? To
Yeah.
try and educate people. One of the guys that I met, I have to tell you about, was a doctor called Dr. De La Fina. He's based in Delray, and he also has another practice. So he has the International Brain Institute.
Mhm.
Um, and this man, he says, I was down in his office the other day. He will buy some of the red beds from me. So he's got like the best equipment for brain health. But this was the fact that really stuck with me. So he had a placard up on his wall, and it was from A-Rod, the baseball guy. I said, why do you have a thing in gold dedicated to you, Dr. Defina, from, this baseball player? And he goes, well, one of the matches, this little boy, he got a baseball in his stomach and he fell into a coma.
Mm.
And they flew me in and I rescued him. I got him back to life. And then he continues to say that he is the only doctor in the world that has done this to 300 people. He's gotten them out of coma. And I mean, I just think it's so incredible. He's got a coma protocol. So that's number one. And number two, he continues to tell me that he is the doctor for the royal family of Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, Dubai, and Saudi Arabia, and he treats the presidents in this country. So I
Wow.
think that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's a
There are some
resume.
pretty impressive people there, I have to say. Like even
Yes,
remember so Dr. Thierry Hertog, I think is how you pronounce it. He's this
yes, the Belgian guy.
this Belgium like tour de force. This man, like he got up and he did like three presentations on like growth hormone, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and something else. And that was in a giant room with thousands of people, right? Like he did like three of those in one day on different topics. Then he like went to the expo room, and his booth I thought was kind of like the coolest booth in a way, because he had like a bunch of chairs and he had a microphone, and people would just go up and he would be like, tell me what your problem is, and I'll give you a protocol. Like
So incredible.
it
It's
was
so
like,
cool. Did
and
you
then
ever get diagnosed by him? Did you?
I didn't go up because there was a line.
Too
Uh,
many people waiting. Yeah.
right. But also we were standing there watching him, kind of just giggling at how much energy he had, because of course he's on growth hormone. He's been on it for 30 years. He
Wow.
talked about how, so this is another kind of hormone replacement therapy that people here probably don't know about, but and growth hormone has positives and negatives, but what he's saying is that it gives him all this energy, which clearly he has. I mean, you don't have to be, a genius to look at him and be like, wow, this guy's got insane energy. Like,
Right.
he just gave like three giant presentations without even like breathing hard. And then he's in the expo room, like on a microphone the rest of the day. Like most people couldn't do that. Like it's pretty stressful, right? Um,
Yeah.
but he talked about how else in his family had lost their hair. And he hadn't lost his hair because he's on all this growth hormone. So, it was pretty impressive. Oh, yes. And then we ran into his wife and his daughter, and we were kind of giggling about how amazing he was and how much energy he had. And they were like, oh, yeah. And he's going to do he's next week, he's going to Mount Everest, and it takes 2 weeks to get to the top. And then he's doing a marathon down it. And I was like, okay, if that isn't an
Brilliant.
ad for hormone therapy, I
Oh my God.
don't know what else is. Like,
Right, exactly. Oh, that's so awesome. I
and
love
people
it.
and people don't realize too, men can take hormones also. So typically what happens to most men when they go through kind of andropause is what they call it for men. It's not quite the same, transition that women go through, but men start to lose testosterone. And in many cases they can be like, if they're overeating and they gain weight, they can have too much estrogen. So it's a similar thing. They can get estrogen dominance just like women. Um, that's where you see like kind of those overweight men who kind of have like breast tissue, and they start to look more like
Feminine.
feminine in a way. Yeah, because they're losing the progesterone, and their estrogen is sky high from all the plastics and all the food they're eating.
Yeah.
Um, and so men can go on testosterone therapy. That can, by the way, isn't just, people think it's all about sex, and it really isn't. It's more about mood. when you go on testosterone, you all of a sudden can be pulled out of a total funk. Like, a lot of men get depressed too. It's not just the women. I know we talk about the women being depressed, but a lot of men get depressed, and even there tend to be more male suicides because they don't seek out any help, right? They just kind of they think it's not manly to go see a therapist or whatever it is, and so that's very tricky. And so testosterone can help with that. Progesterone can help with that. Obviously this doctor, he's on growth hormone that can help with all sorts of things like growing your hair back and all of that stuff. So, um, so these hormones are needed, and as you get older, we kind of lose them. So,
Right.
so anyway, this conference was great because it really was like it showed people who were using these things having really positive effects, and it was just a testament to, you know, knowing all this stuff and being educated. So we hope you guys, learned a little something today.
Yes.
Anything else? Oh, we were going to talk about our favorite supplements. Do you want to talk about your favorite supplement you had at the conference?
So I really like the HG Health. It's called HG Healthgevity, and they do these peptides. And I'm taking a couple of them. I'm taking one for my stomach. I'm taking one thymosin alpha B4 frag, which is for the immune system, modulating of the immune system. And they put something in them called a snack, which is supposed to actually make the absorption really good. So I like that company a lot. And I met the founder, and I think him and his wife, they're absolutely wonderful. And they have a whole array of these peptides, which are really, really, really cool company. So they are, I would say, my favorite there.
Oh,
What
cool.
about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of favorites that I use with clients, on the regular. But one of the ones that I found that I liked, at least for like my younger clients, my children, and then also my clients who can't swallow pills. There was a company called Organoleaf.
Yes.
They had like
Mm,
really
those
tasty
are good.
vitamins.
Didn't
uh,
I eat like 20 of them and my
I know.
stomach hurt
Well,
so
yeah,
much?
don't do that. But yeah,
They're a little too
Alex
good,
like ate
actually.
50 of them because they were so tasty. But don't do that because they're actually still just vitamins. But
They're vitamins, exactly. I felt a little weird after, but
yeah. Um, but they
yeah,
were
those are
so good. They were so they use like it's not a sugar, it's like a sugar. It's like a xylitol, but it's
they like monk fruit they use. Is it monk fruit?
yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it's a different kind of sugar. I'm trying to allulose, that's what they call it.
That's right.
But they're really tasty. I got some for my daughter, just like a multivitamin, because she's not swallowing pills, and they had a probiotic. They had an omega-3, which I thought was great. A lot of people don't like to even swallow omega-3s because they think there's a fishy flavor. Um, and so that was a really cool product I found. I bought a bunch of their stuff. There were some water systems out there that were great that I thought was kind of cool that they were representing. I don't know, there was a lot of cool stuff. I mean, honestly, like I could have spent like the next like week just
Same,
like
same.
just like going through. I mean, how many exhibitors do you feel like there were? I feel like there were like 200 or something.
Oh, absolutely. Something like that. And you know what? This is the small one. We're going to go, you and I are going to go to the one in Las Vegas if you can make that work, because I was there in December and that's like on steroids. That makes this look like nothing.
Yeah.
In terms of I don't mean that way. I mean in terms of exhibitors, because that one has like 1,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think I might have to do that one this year, even though it's at a weird time of year, but next year
You
might be
do.
different in
You
terms
have to do that one. Like
yeah.
you got to. And
Yeah.
like Vegas is so much fun too.
Last time Alex got to go to a U2 concert in that sphere or whatever, and
Yes.
after the A4M conference, I was like,
I was
oh
like a
my God.
20-year-old again. I was a 20-year-old. It was fun.
Oh, I
It was
love
epic. And again, that's mine is the drinking. Like when I say that, I don't drink and I don't take drugs. So it's
yeah.
like when I say that, it's like, I don't mean in that sense.
No, it's like a natural high, being at a concert.
Natural high. That's right. It's a natural high being around all these things that you love, right? And then in kind of a fun, energetic city too. That's fun
Yeah.
for a couple of days.
Yeah, for sure. I've never been to Las Vegas, so that
Oh,
I know it would be my first
that's a
time
date.
going.
December's a date.
Gotta do it.
Anyways,
They have a
well, I think
bunch,
this is
but
good. This is
yeah,
good. Yeah.
I love it. And A4M, they do a ton of different events as well. Like I was just looking at their event education schedule. And again, this is for practitioners mainly. But I guess people from the public could go as long as you buy a ticket. I mean, you don't necessarily have to work in health, but
Yeah, you can.
there's like a women's health summit in September. There's a weight management summit actually this coming weekend, actually starting today, weirdly.
Hmm.
There's one in October in Boston. And then Las Vegas is the big one in December, which of course it's like mid-December, which is a tough time. But I think, they're this year they're doing a longevity fest. They're doing cardiovascular health, endocrinology, peptide therapy, all the big stuff right now. So
So
anyway,
excited.
it's going to be super fun. So so if anyone's looking to go to a really cool conference and you want to nerd out on like supplements and diagnostics and things, it's kind of a cool spot to go.
And the
Um,
leaders in the space as well are there.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that's
you're going to meet lots of doctors. You're going to meet lots of people, practitioners, people in all different spaces in health. And I had a friend who actually texted me saying, like, can you tell me when the next time there's one of those conferences and she has like a sick child who has an unusual thing going on. So for someone like that, it might be interesting to go check out too. So anyway, but yeah, we had a blast and we made a lot of great connections and met a lot of cool people and it was great. So anything else? I think that kind
oh,
of
that's
sums it
it.
up for the
That's
day.
it. How do we find you, Molly?
Oh yeah. So I have a new website, guys. Actually, I rebranded my website because we have this amazing Alex and I share this amazing web guy. His name is Arnold Toro. He's fabulous. We love him. He
I,
so my new website is just molly-siegel.com. So you can go on there, you can book a discovery call with me. I do like a 20-minute discovery call. So we talk about what your issues are and whether or not I think I can help. And or you can just email me at molly.k.siegel@gmail.com. What about you, Alex?
Yep. So I'm giving hacks for free on my Instagram, which is Scandi Labs, SCANDI Labs. And then I have two websites. One is for my product, which is scandilabs.io. And then you can also buy my product on Amazon. And then I also have biohackeralex.com. And my email is alexandra@scandilabs.io. And I am the biohacking nerd. So I love everything biohacking modalities and stacks and anything I can help with in that space. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So wait, you're giving away hats? Is that what you said?
What's that?
You were giving away hats? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I'm giving away hacks that are free, obviously, and then it's
Oh.
hacks that you can buy, right? You can buy modality stacks.
Oh, got it, got it. I for a minute I thought you said you're giving away Scandi Lab hats, and I was like,
Oh no, no,
I was like, I
no.
want one. I want one.
Yes, exactly. No, more like tips
Yeah, got it,
in the
got it.
space, which there are little small things that are very helpful.
Alex has the best. Alex knows all the best hacks. She knows all the best products to have in your house. If you want to have your own private like biohacking lab, give her a
Yep,
call. Like, she will set you up, hook you up.
yep, yep.
She's like the person who literally like is on the plane with a PEMF mat, like she's
Yes,
like
yes, yes. And
traveling everywhere.
embarrassing my family, but that's okay. I don't care. I'm feeling great when I get off the plane. They don't. Ha!
Exactly. And if anyone could, if we could somehow like siphon Alex's energy and put it in a bottle and sell it, like that would be. And I feel like that's kind of what you're getting with Scandi Labs in a way. Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
But
Well,
anyway, well, thanks everybody for
thanks
listening.
everyone. Have a
Um,
great weekend.
yes, have a good weekend. Bye now.
Right, ciao. Bye.